Yes, welcome back, and this surely would be the last part of Module 2 because we are on the second objective, which reminds me that we are doing elasticity, and now we're doing the cross-price elasticity, and we're looking at substitute goods and complementary goods. The previous section we were looking at normal goods and inferior goods as to how elasticity of the income determined the quantity demanded. Now we're going to do cross-price elasticity, meaning the responsiveness of the quantity demanded of a substitute good and the quantity demanded of an inferior good as to how it is determined by the price. So the cross-price elasticity of demand, which is a CPE, measures the responsiveness of quantity demanded to changes in price of a substitute good or a complementary good. So maybe I should understand or define again what is a complementary good, Module 1, and what is a substitute good, Module 1 as well. Substitute good is either or. So if you're going into the shop and there's no milk, you're going to buy powder milk, or there's no chicken, you will buy fish, or you don't buy beef, you buy lamb, etc. Something that you will substitute. I think my example here is Coke and Pepsi. So, and complementary goods is goods that must be used together. So I don't like to just use my coffee, I would like to have it with a donut. So donuts and coffee would go together, blades and razors will go together, a shirt and a tie will go together. So we will now look at these two specific categories of goods and how responsive they are, or the demand of these goods are to a price change. So, for example, if the price of Coke changes, how does this affect the quantity demanded of Pepsi? Now, I already said or alluded to the fact that Coke and Pepsi are substitute goods. If the price of bagels changes, how does the affect the quantity demanded of cream cheese, holding the price of cream cheese constant? So, an example will help to demonstrate what it is that cross-price elasticity measures. Consider two goods, X and Y, Coke and Pepsi. Suppose the price of X rises from 6 to 7. The increase of the price of X is demonstrated by a movement along the specific demand curve for good X. Say, for example, Coke. Okay, so what do you think will happen to the price of the good of Y? If there's an increase in Coke, there will be a demand increase for Pepsi. Because you don't want to buy, you want to go buy the cheapest. Am I correct? So you don't want to buy the expensive Coke, you go buy the cheaper Pepsi. I think that is what this specific graph alludes to. If there's an increase in X, there will be an increase in demand of Y. If good X increases in price, then there will be a quantity demanded of good Y. I will repeat, let it sink in. If the price of good X increases, there will be a quantity demanded increase of good Y. Let's put word to the mouth. If Coke increases in price, I'm not going to want to buy more Coke. I'm going to buy the cheaper Pepsi. So increase in Coke will be an increase in demand for Pepsi. And there we go. This specific section, because the price increased, right, or the demand increased, you're going to look at the increase in price of good X will be a demand in Y. Increase in price of Coke will lead to a demand increase for Pepsi. At a given price of good Y, the quantity demanded increases from Q to, or this specific section, QE to QF. So this is Pepsi, and that's the price of Y. Are we clear? That's the price of Y, but this is the quantity of X. And there it is noted, the price of Y does not change. The price of good X has changed, and the consumer responds to this change in buying more of good Y. Cross-price elasticity is concerned precisely with this change in the price in market X and its effect on the quantity demanded in market Y. If market Y quantity demanded has changed from E to F on another demand curve holding the price of good Y the same. Are we clear about this? Let it sink in. Good X, good Y. Coke, Pepsi. Coke, here's the increases in price of Coke. How's Y going to respond? Oops, let's just want more. Because that is too expensive, let me want more. That is substitute goods. Let's look at inferior goods. Inferior goods, oops, complementary goods. One can get confused, but if you know your terminology, you will know how to get through all these graphs and your calculations. So X and Y are substitute goods. Now, the cross price elasticity between the price of Coke and quantity demand of Pepsi, that's a summary. Suppose price of Coke goes up, we know that the price or the demand for Pepsi will go up as well. So, positive, they are substitutes. Number 2, the cross price elasticity of demand. Consider two goods, A and B. Suppose the price of good A rises from 5 to 6. The increases also again here. There's a movement along this curve. However, a result increases in price of good A, demand of good prices of B decreases. How does that work? How does that work? Excuse me. If there's a price increase of shirts and you need to go to the ball now, excuse me, there's an increase in price of shirts. Will there be a price increase of ties? Not at all, because no, a shirt and a tie goes together. So if there's a price increase in shirts, you're not going to want the tie. So with complementary goods, when there's a price of increase in the one product, there will be a decrease in the want for the complementary good. Let it sink in. Right? Complementary goods. Goods that goes together. You go always to go and drink, you will not want to drink your coffee without a donut. If the price of the coffee goes up, are you going to go buy donuts? No. So the demand will decrease for the complementary good as the price of the other good because of the price that is increasing of the other good. Let's take it to the graphs. At a given price of good Y, the quantity demand decreases from QG to QH. Q meaning quantity, QG to QA. If there's a price increase of the specific good, there will be a decrease in the demand. Am I correct? Okay, that we've learned we've known this now from part 1 already. In this example, the increase in the price of good A causes a decrease in the quantity demanded of good B. Let's put it give it a name. A price of good coffee causes a decrease in the quantity demanded of donuts. A price increase of shirts will lead to a decrease in the quantity demanded of ties. An increase in the price of blades will be leading to a decrease of quantity demanded of razors. Are we clear? Bagels and cream cheese goes together. You don't have a bagel without cream cheese. And that was the example. So, if bagels, the price of the bagel goes up, the quantity demanded for cream cheese will go down. And that's complementary goods. And there we have the price of the donuts. I want you to let it rings. I don't know, I like McCafe, I like my spare time. Demand for coffee decreases, shifts to the left at the given price of a coffee, and we know it's a negative relationship. One up, one down. Negative relationship. Remember, we're not doing inferior goods now. We're doing complementary goods. However, we can always study it as is. When it's inferior goods, it will be negative. If it is complementary goods, it's also negative. When it's normal goods, it's a positive relationship, and that means with substitute goods as well. When the one goes up, the demand for the other one also goes up. So it's again a positive relationship. So donuts and coffees are complements. And there we go. Cross price elasticity of complementary goods demanded for goods X or good Y divided by the price change of good X. If the price elasticity of demand is positive, it substitutes. If it's negative, it's complements. There we go. It's another example. And because I'm going to give you your notes as well, you can go through each of these examples and note well, as long as you understand a decrease in the one and it leads to a decrease in the other, it's a substitute goods. If a decrease in price leads to a increase in demand for the other, it's a complement good, an inverse relationship. So it's a complement good. So let's look at this one. Suppose 6% decrease in the price of Brufen causes a 10% decrease in Tylenol. Positive relationship. Tylenol and Brufen are, you've guessed it. No, you know it. It's substitutes. Yes. So if there's an increase in the one, there will be an increase in the other because you're not going to want to buy the expensive one. And I think that is where pharmacies do this generics and the original. Okay, so you're going to take the generic one because there's an increase in price of the other. And it's substitute goods. Doing the same thing, just at a lower price. Okay. Now, the cross price elasticity formula can be written as follows. Midpoint. Okay. Let it sink in. Example 4. In the graph, demand for tortilla chips, and we know like tortillas chips nicely goes with your dip, the salsa dip. If the price of the tortilla chips goes up, ooh, I don't want to buy that. And if you're not going to buy that, that means you're not going to buy the salsa dip. So, increase in price in one good, which is tortilla chips, leads to a decrease in the demand for the other good, the salsa dip. One goes up, one goes down in verse relationship, negative coefficient. And that means those two goods are complementary goods, or they are complements. Well done. I want you to go through each of these other examples until we reach the end. Thank you very much. And that would be the end of Module 2. I'm so looking forward to the market determination of how you're going to make choices in the next round.